Facebook will stop taking new political advertising in the United States in the 7 days leading up to the election, CEO Mark Zuckerberg said today as part of a series of steps the company is taking to protect against election interference. The U.S. elections are just 2 months away, and with COVID-19 affecting communities across the country, I'm concerned about the challenges people could face when voting, Zuckerberg said in a Facebook post announcing the move. I'm also worried that with our nation so divided and election results potentially taking days or even weeks to be finalized, there could be an increased risk of civil unrest across the country. Candidates and political action committees will continue to be able to buy ads that have already received at least one impression by October 27, the company said. They can also choose to target those existing ads at different groups or adjust their level of spending. But they won't be able to launch new creative campaigns, a hedge against candidates spreading misinformation during a particularly fraught moment in the company's history. The move represents a compromise between critics who demanded that the company stop selling advertising altogether and political campaigners who argued that ads benefit lesser-known candidates and can be essential for get-out-the-vote efforts. It is not likely to placate critics who argue that Facebook's policy against fact-checking political ads allows it to profit from misinformation and the steady erosion of American democracy. But it may prevent the worst efforts to spread hoaxes and dread in an election that has been transformed by the COVID-19 pandemic, voter fears over physically going to the polls, and a new reliance on mail-in voting. Other steps announced by Facebook today include: the company also said it would expand its policies against voter suppression to include implicit misrepresentations about the process, even if they don't discourage voting. The statement, "I hear anybody with a driver's license gets a ballot this year," will no longer be allowed under the expanded policy, Facebook said. Facebook's work with election officials to identify posts aimed at suppressing voters will begin starting now, the company said. In the past, it worked with local election officials starting 72 hours before the election to look for posts with misleading information about voting. Given this election's expected reliance on mail-in voting, that work needs to begin today, the company said. Finally, Facebook will temporarily restrict the number of people you can forward links to in Messenger to 5 per message. That move began August 17 and will roll out globally later this month, Facebook said. The company adopted similar restrictions for WhatsApp last year. "I believe our democracy is strong enough to withstand this challenge and deliver a free and fair election, even if it takes time for every vote to be counted," Zuckerberg said in his post. "We've voted during global pandemics before. We can do this. But it's going to take a concerted effort by all of us, political parties and candidates, election authorities, the media and social networks, and ultimately voters as well, to live up to our responsibilities."